So the first experience that we had with Oliver being sick was we had gone down to the Keys for spring break, ended up doing quarantine down there for COVID. And we came back, and within 2 days of coming back, he was doing like a weird breathing thing. And we had been totally isolated. I was like, there's no way that this kid has COVID. But because there was respiratory symptoms, we came here to Nicklaus. And as soon as they tested his blood, they realized that he needed to go to the ICU and not the COVID area because he basically had no immune system. His blood levels really low, and he had a bacteria called Pseudomonas, which is a common bacteria, but he had it in his blood, which is not common. And then we were finding out he was diagnosed with leukemia.
Yeah, I don't know how I felt. I just felt like this can't be real. This can't be happening to us. Like, I've heard of kids having leukemia. I never met anybody with leukemia. But how could this be happening to my son and my family? Trish and I were upset, obviously, and crying, and then we said, okay. But we knew that we wanted to go at it positively. So that's what we decided to do.
Pre-B acute lymphoblastic leukemia, or ALL, is the most common oncology diagnosis in children. This is a cancer of white blood cells, specifically the type lymphocytes. And so typically the first 9 months of therapy is more intensive. You have numerous cycles where you're getting a variety of chemotherapy agents that attack these cells from different angles, from different mechanisms of division.
The hardest moment that I had with his whole treatment is we went back for a period of time, and because he had extreme high temperature, and they did everything they could, and they couldn't get it down. So they brought in this, for lack of better words, it's like an ice pad bed. They run cold water through it, and they put it underneath him at night to get his temperature down. And it's kind of like sleeping on a bed of ice. And he was whimpering, and I wanted to hold him. I wanted to keep him warm. Yeah, that was the hardest thing, is seeing your child 2 o'clock in the morning, and just looking at him and not being able to sleep, and seeing him shaking and whimpering. He never complained once about anything. He didn't complain. He just was sleeping and shivering and whimpering.
He had 9 months of the intense treatment. So the first month was the leading up to the MRD, and then the rest of the time was in 2-month blocks. And so the type of chemo that he got was different. How it was administered was different. So every time we had to learn something a little bit different. So she would give us the paper, and I would ask a lot of questions. She would write the dosing amount and everything like that. But we were in the hospital, in the clinic, every week, sometimes twice a week.
We went from being in the hospital with the supportive community here to all of a sudden being at home and trying to figure out like how we can, you know, it's quiet at home, like, and there was people that wanted to reach out to help us. And from this started this amazing journey for us, which has been Oliver Patch Project. And it's amazing that something that was so hard led to something that's so beautiful. Well, Oliver Patch Project is a program that we invited artists to make designs. Those designs we make into patches, and then we invite kids currently in treatment within the United States for cancer to go pick out a jacket or a tote, 20 of their favorite patches. We then take those patches, we sew them on a jacket. We sew their name on and everything else, and then we ship it to them. Our whole philosophy of this whole thing is that we didn't want to be identified by leukemia and going through cancer. We wanted to say, okay, this is what we have, This is what we deal with it. What's the best way? You know, we talk to the doctor, say, what's the best way to deal with this? We trust you 110%. And we decided at that moment, if we approach it like that, it's going to be definitely the only way to deal with this.
So a couple of months ago, when I saw Oliver in clinic, they were talking about how excited they were about the bell ringing, and we were trying to figure out which date it would be. And his father, Brian, told me, you know, people ask us about how we're gonna feel about the bell ringing, and I just feel like I'm just gonna let it all out. It's just gonna be this sense of relief, and I'm just going to finally be able to just let out the emotions that I've been trying to power through. And his wife felt the same way and teared up even in that moment. And that bell ringing was unforgettable. Let's go.